Good morning, dear students. I'm Sana Uzma from the Millennium School. And the topic that I'm going to take up today is the fourth type of chemical reaction, that is double displacement reaction. 3 we have already discussed in my previous lecture. I hope you all remember the 3 types of chemical reaction. The first one was the combination reaction or the synthesis. And the second one was the decomposition reaction. And the third one was simple displacement reaction, where one more reactive element was displacing the other less reactive element from its compound, and for that you need to remember the reactivity series that I gave you in the last lecture. So now the fourth one is double displacement reaction. In this type of reaction, what happens? We have two compounds towards the reactant side. Like I have taken a hypothetical equation here, AB plus CD, and we are getting the product as AD plus BC. If you observe the reaction properly, you can see that there is exchange of cation and anion that has occurred in the reactant. I hope you all know what is a cation and what is an anion. So what is happening here? A is combining with D to form a new product AD, and B is combining with C to form a new product BC. So simply you can see here that exchange of the cation and the anionic component has taken place, which has given rise to new products. You can see it with the help of an example. I have taken an example here, a simple example. NaOH, that is sodium hydroxide, is combining with HCl, that is hydrochloric acid. So if you compare this with this simple general equation, what will be the product? Na. This Na is going to combine with Cl to form a new product NaCl, and OH is going to combine with H to form a new product H2O. So in this way you can see here that new product formation has occurred by the double displacement of the cation and the anion towards the reactant side. Now this double displacement reaction can be further classified into 2 types, that is neutralization reaction and precipitation reaction. What does this neutralization reaction mean? Neutralization means, in simple language, acid reacts with base to produce salt and water. So whenever an acid reacts with base, the product formed is always means always, in all the cases, the product formed will be a salt and water. Like you saw this example here, NaOH is a base, sodium hydroxide is a base, and HCl, hydrochloric acid, it is an acid. The two are reacting together to produce this NaCl, which is a salt, and water. Now how to find out which compound is a base, which compound is an acid, this we'll be taking up in our next chapter, acid, base and salt. So for now you can just remember this reaction. Now coming to this example, here also we have KOH. KOH is again a base. Bases are metallic oxides or hydroxides. So in case of NaOH, it is a hydroxide of sodium, which is a metal, and in case of KOH, it is a hydroxide of potassium, which is again a metal. So bases are oxides or hydroxides of metal. So it is a base. HNO3, which is nitric acid. So I'm writing here nitric acid. These are simple acid which you must have heard of. So here KOH is reacting with HNO3. So I hope you can form the product now. K will react with NO3. So the product will be KNO3, and OH will react with H to form H2O. So base is reacting with acid to produce salt plus water. This is what neutralization means, because here you can see that base and acid have neutralized each other because the product formed is a neutral product. So this reaction is classified as neutralization reaction. Now coming to the next type, precipitation reaction. Precipitation reaction. What happens in this type of reaction? This is very important for this chapter because neutralization reaction you will be doing in the entire chapter. Acid, base and salt, you'll be coming across this type of reaction. So we'll be dealing this in our next chapter also. And precipitation type is very important for this chapter. What happens in this type of reaction? A soluble salt reacts with another soluble salt. Solubility means with reference to water. If I don't mention any solvent, it itself means that I'm talking about water because it is a universal solvent. So a soluble salt reacts with another soluble salt to produce the third salt, which is insoluble in nature, and this insoluble salt is known as precipitate, which is abbreviated as PPT. So this insoluble salt which is formed in the product side is known as precipitate, and in the product you will have a salt 4 which will be soluble in nature, which will be soluble in water, and this soluble salt will be known as filtrate. I repeat, the two soluble salts are reacting together to produce an insoluble salt which will be known as precipitate, and soluble salt which will be present in the solution, it is known as filtrate. Now considering an example here, Na2SO4 sodium sulfate, aqueous. I have written aqueous here in short form. Aqueous means the solution is prepared in water. This salt has been dissolved in water to prepare the solution, and such solutions are known as aqueous solution. Is reacting with BaCl2 barium chloride. Again I have written aqueous here. So this again means that this salt has been dissolved in water to prepare the solution. Now these two react together to produce the third salt, which is barium sulfate. Here you can see that barium has reacted with sulfate to form a third salt, barium sulfate. Since it is insoluble, I have written solid here. So it will be known as precipitate. And precipitate is written or notified with this downward arrow. And this is a soluble salt, sodium chloride, which is common salt. It is obviously soluble in water. So this will remain in aqueous state or in solution state. So here also you can say that exchange of cationic and anionic component has occurred, leading to the formation of an insoluble salt, which is known as precipitate. Now another example I'm taking up. One more thing, children, you need to remember in this barium sulfate is white in color because, as I told you earlier, the observations are usually asked in your exam. So please remember the color also. Here you can see that NaCl, which is again in the form of aqueous state, that is dissolved in water, is reacting with AgNO3 silver nitrate, which is again in the form of aqueous state. The two are reacting together to produce sodium nitrate and AgCl. Sodium nitrate is in aqueous state, it will remain dissolved in water, and AgCl is in the form of solid component and it will be in the form of precipitate. So we will write here solid. I hope this type is clear to you. Let me explain you with the help of a diagram. If suppose I take a test tube, okay, and I am adding two soluble salts to it. I have added NaCl solution, that is aqueous, and another solution, that is AgNO3 solution. This is again aqueous. So these two solutions I have added together in a test tube. What will be the observation? You will observe that two new salts are formed. One will be in the form of deposition at the bottom. And it will be solid in state. And this solid form will be known as PPT, that is precipitate. As in the above example, it will be AgCl, and AgCl is a white colored PPT. Okay, and in this liquid part, the above will be the liquid part, which will have the soluble salt, that is NaNO3. NaNO3 will be in the soluble part, that is aqueous solution, and it is known as filtrate. So it appears like this. You can compare it with curd. If you observe curd properly, you will find that there is some solid component present in the curd, and if you separate out that solid component from the curd, you'll find liquid left behind. That liquid is known as filtrate, and that solid portion that you have removed from the curd will be precipitate, will correspond to precipitate. So to make it more clear, you can compare it with the example of curd, and actually it is curdy white PPT only. The solution appears in the form of curd only, that is the solid component of the curd is settled at the bottom, which is known as precipitate, and the liquid component is present above, it is known as filtrate. If you want, you can separate out the precipitate from the filtrate by simply using filter paper. Okay, by using filter paper, you can filter out the solid component, the precipitate, from the filtrate. So I hope the two type of reactions falling under this double displacement reaction is clear to you, children. Neutralization and precipitation. Please try to read it from your NCERT book. Also, if you do not have the book, children, you can download it from Google, because it is available there. And if you cannot, then you can ask me, I'll provide you one. So now let us move on to a question. The question is, name the substance used for whitewashing and write its chemical formula. Okay. So first part of the question is to name the substance which is being used for whitewashing. So we need to write down the name. The substance is calcium oxide. Calcium oxide is the chemical name of this substance. When it is asked to write down the name, even in your board exam, please remember to mention the name only. And the common name of calcium oxide, it is commonly known as quicklime. Okay, and then the question in continuation is to write its chemical formula. The chemical formula of calcium oxide, which you all must be aware of, is CaO. Now the another part of this question is, write the reaction for the substance named above with water. So the substance named above is calcium oxide, which is solid. This calcium oxide or quicklime, which is also known as chuna in Hindi, when dissolved in water, will produce calcium hydroxide, okay, which is lime water. Okay. So when it reacts with water, it forms lime water or calcium hydroxide. So since it is in dissolved state, so aqueous is written here, and this delta sign indicates that heat is evolved in this reaction. So you can observe this also, children. Whenever chuna or quicklime is added to water, the entire container turns hot, because the reaction proceeds with the liberation of heat, and whenever the heat is evolved or liberated, the reaction is known as exothermic reaction. So this was the question. I hope the question is clear to you, and I'll send you some more practice questions also, children. Keep on revising properly and maintain your notes well. Again and again, I'm reminding you, because I'm receiving few incomplete notes also. I'm receiving incomplete homework. So you have to complete your notes also from this video lecture. You can pause and you can write down, and also you need to complete your homework in the same notebook. Keep your work updated so that later on you don't face any difficulty. Okay, children, thank you.